Welcome back. David, outside the immediacy of your home life, how did this set of unique circumstances, the fact that both your parents were deaf, change the way your peers related to you growing up? Or did it change the way they did?
Definitely. You engage differently. I mean, I never had kids come around to my place to play. It just wasn't something...
Just didn't happen that way.
Didn't happen. And, you know, wasn't until high school that when I was studying speech and drama, my teachers sort of said, look, you've got a terrible lisp. We need to focus on that. And there were words that I would pronunciate very incorrectly because I kind of made it up as I went along, or I might have heard someone say it like that and thought it was correct, and it wasn't, and I had no one at home to correct me on that. A real case that I remember very clearly was during one summer, the Deaf Society had a holiday rental that you could go to, and I'd spent a week there and came back, primary school, and you have show and tell, and what did you do over the summer? And I'm standing in front of the class and telling them that we had a great week at the Cot Cage. And the teacher's sort of looking at me and the kids are looking at me. I said, we went swimming and we did this. And we stayed at the Deaf Cot Cage and it was fantastic. And then the teacher sort of said, cottage. Do you mean cottage? And I went, yes, cottage. So it was little things like that you do grow up with that are different. And kids can be pretty cruel at times.
Well, that was going to be my next question. The cruelty of children come through and focus on you because of that set of circumstances?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
And look, probably no worse than any of the other kids, on different issues, but it happens. So, you roll with those punches, and kids are incredibly resilient. We pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off and find a reason to fight back, so you do that as well.
Yeah. You finished school and entered military life. What caused you to choose that career path as a 17, 18-year-old?
I think in part I wanted to go to university, and I knew that my family circumstances were incredibly humble, with deaf parents, and at that stage my parents had separated. That if I was going to go to university, I needed to have some support to do that, and the military offered that. The interesting thing was I applied to go to the Defence Force Academy, to ADFA. It had just opened, or was in the process of just opening. And I remember really clearly getting a phone call from the warrant officer from recruiting saying, look, I've got good news and bad news for you. And I'd gone through all the processes. And I said, well, look, give me the bad news first. And he says, well, the registrar of the University of New South Wales doesn't believe you have the academic aptitude for a degree. And I kind of went, okay, well, what's the good news?
Have you got good news?
Yeah. And he said, look, we like you. How would you feel about going to the Royal Military College? And I said, what's the Royal Military College? He said, it's just straight officer training, 18 months. And I said, you've got me. And so left high school, went straight to Canberra, and commenced a career in the army.
How did you find that? It's an interesting life. It has a certain degree of hardships, but can be very rewarding as well.
Yeah, look, absolutely, and it's something that I would, given the option to repeat my life again, definitely do Duntroon.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. The experience was something that has just served me so well for the rest of my life. It's in areas that I never thought it would have. The military training is just, in my opinion, world class, and it gives you skills that you can use, in a whole range of areas. And it's, I like to think a lot of my success in my working life has been because of that foundation that the Royal Military College gave me in training.
What was the highlight of your 8 years as an army officer? What rank did you
I left as a captain.
Yep.
Yeah. Look, the highlight.
I mean, it's a whole different set of this happened and this happened. It's a combination, isn't it? Spend much time overseas?
No. The time that I was in Australia, our army wasn't really deployed anywhere. We had a couple of UN peacekeeping things. I think Somalia, we had a detachment over there, but no time overseas. I think the highlight really wouldn't be one experience, but rather the bonding that you make with a range of people. It's been interesting as Facebook comes on and becomes more popular, and you find people from your past. Bumping into people on Facebook and just picking up where you left off is an amazing sort of experience. But it's in part because of what you've gone through, working with them in various places.
That's
around
that
Australia.
solidarity that is created that can stay with you for the rest of your life, regardless of the fact whether you've been in touch for 20 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, making the decision to leave the army, what was your state of mind at that stage?
Look, I'd married.
It's a hard life for a family, moving around every 2 years.
Yeah, and we were at a stage where our kids had been in 4 different primary schools within a 12-month period. Yeah. And it was one of those freaky sort of occasions, and might have been 18 months, but it was a terrible, terrible scenario. That wasn't the trigger, but our son, our eldest son who was living with us, was just at that point where he was about to go into high school. If he was in New South Wales ACT, but not elsewhere, and we kind of said, look, we really need to settle down. Yeah. Knew we didn't want to live in a capital city, liked Queensland, and so began looking for a place to move to, and ended up moving to Bundaberg.
Okay. And how did you enter civilian life?
Pretty well, I think. Yeah. The transition wasn't as difficult, I think, as it could have been. Yeah. Really happy to do that, and gave me a chance to really sort of catch up with the kids, which was great as well, because you can. Although politics has sort of taken that away again, I guess I haven't done too well in that area. I'm not going to get Father of the Year, for a couple of years yet. Anyway.
Oh well, it's not up to you to make the decision on who receives those awards anyway.
That's
David.
true. That's true.
And ultimately, you ended up working in the media.
Yeah, a colleague at the time said, "Look, David, there's a job in the paper that's just made for you," and I kind of went, "Oh, okay," and had a look, and as fate would have it, the closing date was that Friday, and I rang them and said, look, can I get my CV in on Monday morning? And first thing Monday morning I was there, dropped it in, and ended up becoming the newspaper sales and circulation manager for the Newsmail up in Bundaberg, which was a great experience.
And it really does give you a completely unique perspective on the life of your local community, being able to look at it.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of those really great insights that the media have, because they see the very best and the very worst and everything in between, and I think anyone who works in the media in any, of the fields really begins to appreciate just what their community is like and understands it for what it really is. They don't view it through rose-coloured glasses. They see it for what it really is, and they know the seedy side of it, but they also know the really, really good side.
Nobody strips away the veneer better than a newspaper man.
True, very true.
Yeah. You're watching Meet the Ministers. My guest is David Gibson, and we'll be back with you after the break.